All right, what's up, guys? So, welcome back. This is episode 3 of section 2. We're still in the cervico-thoracic region. If you didn't watch episode 1 or 2, you may want to go back and do that. Episode 1, we were talking about bones and joints in this region. Episode 2, we were talking about muscles in this region. If you go back and watch those, today is going to make a lot more sense. And it helps you see how everything fits together. So, today we're talking about the nerves in that cervico-thoracic region. Let's go ahead and jump in. In episode 1, we talked about this space that is formed between two vertebrae as they sit on top of one another. It's called the intervertebral foramen. Intervertebral foramen. So that space is there so that we have all these nerve roots that come off our spinal cord. They have to get out of the spinal column somehow, and this foramen is how they're able to exit. Okay. Now, it's important to realize that before that nerve root exits, there's actually a dorsal nerve root and a ventral nerve root, and they come together and make the whole nerve root that then exits the spinal column. Now, what's the significance here? Well, the dorsal division is sensory, and that's where we get touch and stuff like that. And then the ventral nerve root is motor, so it tells muscles what to do. Now, what's called a cervical or lumbar, what's called a radiculopathy is a true compression of that whole nerve root. So you're going to lose sensation, you're going to lose strength, you're going to lose reflexes. And we can test all these things. And if they're all impaired, then we know which segment to look at. If it's just irritation of that dorsal nerve root, you could have numbness or tingling along a dermatomal distribution, a dermatomal map. So it shows you roughly where each segment is going to give us sensation. And then back, so that ventral nerve root is motor. The problem with irritation of the motor nerve is you may not feel anything. You may just gradually lose strength over time. That could show up as pain later because that muscle is not as strong as it should be because it just isn't innervated well. That can really be a sticky situation. So when we get into episode 4, we'll talk more about, because we get referred pain for muscles, which we've talked about a little bit in previous episodes, the trigger point referral patterns. Joints can refer pain. Discs can refer pain. That pain referral can feel similar, and it's hard to say what structure it's coming from. And it's reasonable to think if we've got pain referral from a disc, there's going to be something wrong with the joints around those that disc and potentially some nerve root irritation. All right, so let's zoom back out for a second and talk about why you might have nerve root irritation to begin with. Now, unfortunately, C5 and 6 are the nerve roots that we usually irritate. I say that's unfortunate because that's what innervates most of the muscles around our shoulders. Okay. So let's talk about why that might happen. Why is it those segments? So C7T1, that we call that the CT junction. So that's where the C7 is our last cervical vertebrae. T1 is the first thoracic vertebrae. We go from what's called a lordotic curve to a kyphotic curve. So your thoracic goes forward, right, and then your neck swings back this way. Neck and lower back have the same type of curve in them. But that curve is transitioning there at that CT junction. We have ribs there. Remember, those upper ribs are up pretty high. So it's just inherently a less mobile body region. Now, pair that with any kind of restriction in those upper cervical segments. Remember how much freedom of movement we have there when they're moving well. Well, things don't always move the way they're supposed to, right? So now you've got a stiff CT junction, maybe not getting enough movement in the upper cervical segments. Well, what's left in between? The 5 and 6 are pretty mobile segments, so we tend to beat them up. And that can lead to nerve root irritation and further down the road, shoulder dysfunction like rotator cuff pathology. All right. So stay tuned for episode 4 because we're going to talk about how to get ahead of any of these kinds of issues. And if you unfortunately have these issues already, then maybe reach out to me or somebody close to you that can help you